In the quiet streets of Bristol, a city known for its resilient spirit, Emma Carter stood by the window of her small, worn apartment. The morning light filtered through thin curtains, casting long shadows across the cramped living room. Outside, a light drizzle painted the cobblestone streets with a glistening sheen, a typical English morning that seemed to mirror her current state of mind. Emma was 32, but the past few years had aged her beyond her years. Her hands, once soft and smooth, were now rough from years of hard work, kneading dough at the local bakery, washing dishes, and caring for her 2 young sons. Life had not been kind to her since her husband, Michael, had walked out 3 years ago, leaving her alone with 2 children and a mountain of responsibilities. The clock on the wall ticked relentlessly, each second a reminder of the mounting bills and the constant struggle to make ends meet. Jack, her eldest son at 9 years old, needed new school shoes. Thomas, just 5, had been battling a persistent chest infection that required expensive medication. Emma's job at the bakery paid just enough to cover their basic needs, but never quite enough to build any real security. She glanced at the pile of overdue notices on the small kitchen table. Electricity bill, rent, Thomas's medical prescriptions, each envelope was a silent testament to her daily battle. The total amount due seemed insurmountable. £200 short this month, and winter was approaching. Jack walked into the room, his school uniform slightly worn, his shoes showing clear signs of multiple repairs. "Mom," he said softly, "do we have enough for breakfast?" There was no complaint in his voice, just a matter-of-fact understanding that things were tough. Emma forced a smile. "Of course, darling. Sit down. I'll make some toast." She moved quickly, hiding her worry behind a routine of motherly care. The last slice of bread, carefully toasted and spread with the remaining butter. She cut it into 2 perfect triangles, making sure Jack and Thomas each got an equal portion. As the boys ate, Emma's mind raced. She thought about her mother, Margaret, who had raised her as a single parent after her father passed away. "We'll make it through," her mother would always say. Those words had been a beacon of hope during the toughest times, and now Emma repeated them to herself like a personal mantra. Her shift at the bakery started in an hour. Robert, the owner, was a kind man in his late 50s who had given her a job when she desperately needed one. She knew she worked harder than anyone else, arriving first, leaving last, ensuring every loaf was perfect, every customer was satisfied. Thomas coughed, a deep, rattling sound that broke Emma's heart. The medication was expensive, and her health insurance barely covered a fraction of the cost. She would need to pick up extra shifts, maybe ask Robert for additional hours. As she helped the boys get ready for school, Emma caught her reflection in the hallway mirror. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, her once bright eyes now carrying a perpetual look of exhaustion and determination. "Be good at school," she told Jack, adjusting his backpack. To Thomas, she carefully applied a warm scarf, protecting his chest from the morning chill. Each action was a silent promise, a mother's commitment to protecting and providing, no matter the cost. The walk to the school was short but meaningful. Emma kissed both boys goodbye, watching them disappear into the school gates. For a moment, despite all the challenges, she felt a surge of love and hope. They were her reason, her motivation to keep fighting. As she hurried to the bakery, the morning mist began to clear. Bristol streets came alive with people heading to work, children walking to school, the city breathing its daily rhythm. And in this moment, Emma Carter was just another face in the crowd, a single mother, working hard, loving deeply, surviving against the odds. Her story was not unique, but it was uniquely hers. A testament to the quiet strength that resides in ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges. Little did she know, change was just around the corner. Hope has a way of arriving when least expected, often disguised as an ordinary day. The bakery was a warm haven of comfort, filled with the rich aroma of freshly baked bread and the soft hum of morning conversations. Emma moved effortlessly between ovens and display cases, her hands working with practiced precision. Robert Williams, the bakery owner, watched her from the corner of his eye, his weathered hands carefully arranging pastries. Robert had seen many workers come and go over his 30 years in business. But Emma was different. She wasn't just an employee, she was a fighter. Her dedication was evident in every movement, every interaction with customers. Where others saw a routine job, Emma saw an opportunity to provide for her children. That morning was different. The bakery was quieter than usual, with just a few early customers enjoying their morning coffee and pastries. Robert called Emma into his small office at the back, a cramped space with walls covered in old photographs and business certificates. "Sit down, Emma," he said, his voice kind but serious. Emma's heart raced. In her experience, being called into the office rarely meant good news. Robert pushed a document across the table. It was a recommendation letter for a management training program with a major bakery chain. "I've been watching you," he explained. "You're not just working here. You're thinking about every detail. Your efficiency, your care with customers, it's something special." Emma's hands trembled as she read the letter. The program offered more than just a job. It promised a pathway to stability, better pay, career progression, a chance to truly provide for her boys. But it also meant additional training, more hours, more challenges. "I know you have 2 children," Robert continued, sensing her hesitation. "I know it won't be easy. But sometimes, opportunity knocks only once." Her mind drifted to Jack and Thomas. The new school shoes they needed. Thomas's ongoing medical treatments. The constant struggle of making ends meet. This could be their lifeline. "The training is tough," Robert warned. "It'll require extra hours, additional study. But I believe you can do it." Emma thought about her typical day, waking before dawn, preparing the boys for school, working long shifts, then returning home to cook, clean, and help with homework. Adding more responsibilities seemed impossible. And yet, the possibility of a better future was tantalizing. The recommendation wasn't just a piece of paper. It was hope, carefully wrapped in official letterhead. Her fellow bakery workers had noticed her potential too. Margaret, an older colleague who had become a close friend, had been encouraging her. "You're meant for more than just making bread," she would often say. The training program wasn't just about baking. It covered business management, customer relations, financial planning, skills that could transform her entire life. For someone who had been surviving paycheck to paycheck, this was more than a job opportunity. It was a chance to rewrite her family's future. Emma's mind raced with possibilities and doubts. Who would help with the children during additional training hours? How would she manage the extra workload? The challenges seemed overwhelming. But then she thought of Jack's determined eyes when he talked about wanting to help her. Thomas's brave smile despite his health challenges. Her mother's unwavering belief that hard work always found its reward. "I'll do it," Emma said suddenly, her voice surprising even herself. The decisiveness came from a place deep within, a mother's instinct to create a better life for her children. Robert smiled, a genuine warmth spreading across his face. "I knew you would," he said. "Sometimes, all we need is someone to believe in us." The recommendation letter seemed to glow on the table, a beacon of potential, a promise of transformation. Emma knew the journey ahead would be challenging. Long study nights, balancing work and family, pushing beyond her comfort zone. But for the first time in years, she felt something she had almost forgotten: hope. Real, tangible hope that things could change. That her story wasn't just about survival, but about building something meaningful. As she left the office, the bakery's familiar sounds surrounded her. The world hadn't changed. And yet, everything was different. An unexpected opportunity had just arrived, wrapped in the scent of fresh bread and possibility. The training program was nothing like Emma had imagined. Her classmates were mostly young professionals in their early 20s, fresh out of university, with crisp shirts and seemingly unlimited energy. They looked at her differently, a single mother in her 30s, trying to compete in a world that often overlooked women like her. Her first week was a blur of confusion and determination. While others discussed complex business theories, Emma was solving real-world problems in her head. How to manage limited resources, balance tight budgets, care for sick children, these were skills no textbook could teach. The evening classes were the most challenging. After a full day at the bakery, Emma would rush to pick up the boys, quickly prepare dinner, and then dive into her study materials. Thomas would often fall asleep beside her, his small body curled up near her textbooks, his occasional cough breaking the silence of their tiny apartment. Jack became her unexpected ally. At just 9 years old, he would help prepare simple meals, make sure Thomas was comfortable, and encourage his mother. "You can do this, Mom," he would say, his eyes filled with a maturity beyond his years. The group project became Emma's first major test. Her team consisted of 4 young professionals who initially saw her as just a bakery worker, someone who didn't belong in their world of corporate ambitions. They would exchange subtle glances when she spoke, barely concealing their skepticism. But Emma had something they didn't: practical experience and an unbreakable spirit. Their challenge was to develop a business strategy for a struggling local retail store. While her teammates discussed theoretical approaches, Emma drew from her real-life experiences. She understood tight budgets, customer loyalty, and the daily struggle of small businesses. During their first team meeting, Emma quietly listened. The team's initial plan was complex but impractical. She waited, choosing her moment carefully. When she finally spoke, her words carried the weight of lived experience. "We're missing the human element," she explained, sketching out a strategy that balanced financial efficiency with genuine customer connection. Her approach was simple yet revolutionary, treating customers like family, understanding their real needs beyond just sales figures. Her teammates were stunned. The theoretical models they had learned suddenly seemed disconnected from real-world challenges. Emma's strategy wasn't just about numbers, it was about understanding human nature. The project mentor, a seasoned business consultant named Richard Peterson, watched her with growing interest. He recognized something special in Emma, a raw talent that couldn't be taught in classrooms. Nights became a delicate dance of responsibility. After putting the boys to bed, Emma would study, her kitchen table covered with business journals, strategy notes, and Thomas's medical prescriptions. Each document told a story of survival and hope. Her colleagues began to see her differently. What they initially perceived as a disadvantage, her age, her background, became her greatest strength. She brought a perspective that was refreshingly authentic and deeply intelligent. The training wasn't just about business management. It was about proving to herself and the world that a single mother from a working-class background could compete and excel in a professional environment. Some nights, exhaustion would almost consume her. The weight of responsibilities, being a mother, an employee, a student, felt overwhelming. But then she would look at her sleeping children and find renewed strength. Margaret from the bakery became her unofficial support system. She would sometimes help with the boys, allowing Emma an extra hour of study time. "You're doing something important," she would remind Emma. "Not just for yourself, but for your children." As weeks passed, Emma's confidence grew. The shy, overworked bakery worker was transforming into a strategic thinker, a woman who understood that success wasn't about perfect theory, but about practical wisdom and unwavering determination. Her team's project began to take shape. What started as a theoretical exercise was becoming a genuine blueprint for business transformation. And at the center of it all was Emma, a mother, a worker, a student, rewriting her own narrative one challenge at a time. The journey was far from over. But for the first time, Emma could see a path forward, not just for herself, but for Jack and Thomas. A path illuminated by hope, hard work, and the unbreakable spirit of a mother who refused to be defined by her circumstances. The final assessment loomed like a mountain Emma needed to climb. It was a complex business simulation that would test everything she had learned and everything she knew from her real-life experiences. Her team looked nervous. Young professionals in crisp suits shuffled papers, their confidence suddenly replaced by genuine anxiety. Emma, wearing a simple navy blazer she had saved months to buy, remained calm. Years of managing tight household budgets and solving daily challenges had prepared her for moments like these. The simulation room was clinical and precise. White walls, long tables, computer screens displaying complex business scenarios. Each team would be judged on their ability to navigate a fictional company through multiple challenges, financial constraints, market changes, employee management. As the simulation began, Emma's teammates initially tried to take lead. Their university-learned strategies seemed impressive but disconnected from practical realities. Emma watched quietly, observing their approach. Halfway through the simulation, the scenario presented a critical financial challenge. The team's initial strategy began to crumble. Panic started to spread across their faces. But Emma saw something different: an opportunity. Drawing from her years of managing her family's tight budget, she proposed a radical yet practical solution. Instead of cutting staff, she suggested a creative restructuring that would maintain employee morale while reducing operational costs. Her approach wasn't just about numbers, it was about understanding human dynamics. Her teammates initially resisted. "That's not how corporate strategies work," one of them challenged. But as the simulation progressed, Emma's strategy began to prove its effectiveness. The judges, a panel of experienced business professionals, watched with growing interest. They weren't just seeing a simulation, they were witnessing real problem-solving skills. Richard Peterson, the training program's lead mentor, leaned forward. Emma's approach was unique. She wasn't just solving a business problem, she was telling a story of survival, adaptation, and strategic thinking. As minutes turned into hours, Emma's confidence grew. The shy bakery worker was transforming before everyone's eyes. Her practical wisdom was challenging traditional business thinking. Her children were her silent motivation. She thought of Jack's determination, Thomas's resilience. Every decision she made wasn't just about winning a simulation, but about creating a better future. When the final results came, the room fell silent. Emma's team had not just succeeded, they had outperformed every other group by a significant margin. Their strategy, born from Emma's unique perspective, had proven most effective. The judges' comments were revealing. "Your approach," one of them told Emma, "shows that real business success isn't about theoretical knowledge. It's about understanding human potential." Her teammates, who had initially dismissed her, now looked at her with newfound respect. The young professional who had seemed least likely to succeed had become their unexpected hero. As awards were announced, Emma remained composed. This wasn't about personal triumph, but about proving that background, age, and circumstances didn't define potential. Richard Peterson approached her after the simulation. "You've shown something extraordinary," he said. "Real leadership isn't about traditional paths. It's about perspective, resilience, and understanding." Emma's mind drifted to her tiny apartment, to her sleeping children. This moment was bigger than a business simulation. It was proof that dreams could be rebuilt, that barriers could be broken. Her phone buzzed. "A message from Jack: 'You're going to win, Mom.'" "I know it." Those simple words meant more than any professional recognition. As she left the simulation room, Emma understood something profound. Her journey wasn't just about herself. It was about showing her children that limitations were often just illusions, that hard work and genuine understanding could transform any situation. The corridor stretched before her, a metaphor for the path she had chosen. Challenging, uncertain, but filled with unprecedented possibility. Her story was just beginning. And she was ready. The announcement echoed through the large conference hall, cutting through the nervous anticipation. Emma Carter, the head trainer's voice rang clear, top of the program. "Congratulations on your new position as regional manager." Silence hung for a moment. Then, thunderous applause broke out. Emma stood frozen, her mind struggling to process the words. Years of struggle, countless sleepless nights, endless challenges, they had all led to this moment. Tears welled in her eyes, not of sadness, but of pure, overwhelming joy. Her journey hadn't been just about a job. It had been about survival, about creating a better life for Jack and Thomas. Her colleagues rushed to congratulate her. The same young professionals who had once looked down on her now saw her as a role model. Richard Peterson, the program's mentor, gave her a proud smile from across the room. As Emma collected her certificate, her thoughts drifted to her tiny apartment, to her two sleeping boys. Jack, with his determination beyond his years. Thomas, battling his health challenges with remarkable courage. They were her real motivation, her true success. The new position meant more than just a better salary. It promised stability, hope, a chance to provide medical care for Thomas without constant worry. It meant new school shoes for Jack, books, opportunities they had never imagined possible. Margaret from the bakery had been right. "You're meant for more than just making bread," she had said. Emma now understood the depth of those words. Her first call was to her mother. Margaret Carter listened, her voice breaking with pride. "Your father would have been so proud," she whispered. Those words carried the weight of generations of struggle and hope. The promotion came with challenges. A regional manager's role meant more responsibilities, longer hours, complex decision-making. But Emma had learned that challenges were just opportunities in disguise. Her first official act was surprisingly personal. She proposed a company program supporting working mothers, drawing from her own experiences. The management was impressed. Here was a leader who understood real-world challenges. Jack and Thomas became her biggest supporters. Jack helped prepare dinner, managed household chores, while Thomas's infectious smile reminded her why she fought so hard. They understood the value of hard work, of perseverance. The journey hadn't been easy. Single motherhood, financial struggles, self-doubt, she had conquered them all. Not through magical solutions, but through consistent, determined effort. Her new colleagues saw more than just a manager. They saw a woman who had transformed challenges into opportunities. Her story became an inspiration, proof that potential knows no boundaries. During her first team meeting, Emma shared her journey. Not as a motivational speech, but as a genuine narrative of survival and hope. Her team listened, inspired by her authenticity. The bakery where she had worked became a symbol of her transformation. Robert Williams, who had first believed in her, watched her success with paternal pride. "I always knew you were special," he told her. Emma's story spread. Local newspapers picked up her journey, a single mother rising from a bakery worker to a regional manager. She became a beacon of hope for countless women facing similar challenges. Financial stability meant more than just comfort. It meant opportunities for her children. Better healthcare for Thomas. Educational resources for Jack. A future filled with possibilities. As she tucked her boys into bed that night, Emma reflected on her journey. Life wasn't about avoiding struggles, but about how you respond to them. Resilience, love, and unwavering determination could transform any situation. Thomas mumbled something in his sleep. Jack, studying a school book, looked up and smiled. "We're proud of you, Mom," he said simply. Those words were her greatest reward. More precious than any professional achievement. The city outside her window continued its rhythm. But inside this small apartment, a new chapter had begun. A story of hope, of transformation, of a mother's love breaking through every barrier. Emma's journey was a testament to a simple, powerful truth: with courage and love, anything is possible.